So the big question is this: how do small businesses like yours, who feel like you're doing all the right things and going to all the right events, reach the federal buyer in a way that helps you win more contracts? That is the question, and this is the place to get your answers. My name is Neil McDonnell. Welcome to the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. Okay, let's get started. In this series, I'm sharing the top 10 steps every small business government contractor should take if you want to be successful in the federal market. I included 2 bonus steps at the end of this series just to round it out to an even dozen. In a minute, I'll walk you through step 1 and discuss your small business profile. There is nothing you'll ever do in government contracting that is more important than this one step. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out or already have a run rate of 20 million. Make the time to complete your small business profile. First, though, this content is brought to you by the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, the only organization dedicated to the success of all small businesses in the federal space, with members from Guam to the U.S. Virgin Islands and every single state in between. Each year, roughly $125 billion is awarded to small businesses as prime contractors. Our vision is to double that number by helping small businesses truly understand the process for success. Small businesses are the backbone of America. By helping you succeed further in government contracting, we'll be strengthening American communities together. My name is Neil McDonnell, and I've been where you are now. I've been a small business owner for 20 years, building 2 successful firms selling to the federal government. I've won subcontracts with small and large prime contractors. I've won prime contracts with defense and civilian agencies. I've done things right, and I've gotten things wrong. The one thing missing, though, for me then and you now, is an easy to follow process that'll lead to predictable success. That's my commitment to you. I'll provide the process. If you accept responsibility and don't blame others, you'll find you have the control to shape your future. I put together this roadmap to help you understand the top 10 steps every small business must take as they travel down the road to success in federal government contracting. You can watch a previous video where I briefly introduce each of the steps. In this video, we'll be talking about your small business profile and how vital it is that you complete it. And this video is very important to those of you who've been around a few years, not just the folks getting started. In this video, I'll be talking about your small business profile. In my opinion, there's no more important task you'll do in government contracting that will contribute towards your future success. When you complete your small business profile, you'll know what you sell and what words the government uses to buy it. I'll start off by giving you an understanding of why your small business profile is so important. Next, I'll provide some technical tips for a great profile and explain the 4 key sections that make up that profile. Finally, I'll share my opinions related to your small business profile. All of us are told to register in SAM if we want to sell to the federal government. And some folks tell us about dsbs.sba's companion pages to your SAM entry. The biggest mistake that happens within government contracting is not telling small businesses how very important their small business profile is to their success. So instead, we all go in there and fill out the minimal required information and rarely, if ever, actually update the profile. This is a huge mistake for 2 reasons. First, when you don't force yourself to go through the exercise of completing all the fields, you miss out on truly understanding what you sell and who buys those services or products. Second, most small businesses don't realize that the number 1 tool government buyers use for market research when they're trying to find small businesses like yours is the Dynamic Small Business Search Tool, or DSBS. In fact, over 70% of small businesses are virtually invisible to the federal buyer because they don't have keywords in their profiles, so they don't get found. Additionally, many other tools and systems pull from your small business profile. And if your profile is weak in SAM and DSBS, then it'll be weak in all other tools. Some agencies have their own portals that pull from your profile, as do many large firms. You can see how impactful it would be to have a thorough and impressive small business profile that can sing your praises 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. Last thing to keep in mind is that you want to update your profile twice a year. not because you must do it in order to stay active, but because every 6 months your company is sharpening its skills and gaining more experience that should be reflected in your profile. I want to share some quick tips about your profile that could be making your company invisible to the federal buyer. There's a bug in the government websites that make up your small business profile. If your website address isn't exact, it'll error out, which means the buyer just moves on to your competitor. Make sure your profile has a full URL, including HTTPS at the beginning. Buyers want to talk to people. If your contact email address in your small business profile starts with info or sales, for example, that'll discourage the buyer. They're just like us. They want to feel like an email will go to a person and not an unattended mailbox. Make sure you use your name and your email address, and you'll be fine. Another subliminal sign that your company's not ready to sell to the federal government is if you say you don't accept credit cards. Of course you can. It's easy. But even if you don't want to, just check yes. No one's going to force you to sell to a customer using a credit card. But I'd argue that you would accept a credit card if they pay you $500 an hour or $50,000 for a quick proof of concept. The market researchers are just trying to create a short list of possible vendors, and you want to do anything reasonable that will keep you on that list. The last technical tip is to check the box in your SAM profile that allows your profile to be publicly searched or found. There's nothing sensitive in your profile, and you want to be found by buyers, teaming partners, small business professionals, and others like that. There are 4 basic sections in your small business profile that I'll review with you now. First, you have your basic information. I'm not going to go into all the fields, but this is basically your company information, contact information, technical and business certifications, and your chosen NAICS codes. Make sure you have at least 10 NAICS codes. I make this recommendation because what you sell is almost always bought using several different NAICS throughout the federal government agencies. If you want to get found by a federal buyer searching small business profiles, then you need to include keywords related to what you sell. Keywords can be one word or a phrase. I have an entire free course on how to pick keywords in the govconchamber.com website. But the main tip I want to point out here is to make sure you use all the available space. Basically, you have 2,500 characters available for keywords in 3 different fields within your small business profile: the keywords field, the capability narrative field, and my favorite and most underused, the special equipment field. 80% of your competitors are not doing this. And by doing it properly, you'll be far more prepared to discuss what you sell. I know a small business that's doing 30 million annually who can communicate their core competency using one keyword: systems engineering. They then break that down into 4 more keywords using the components of systems engineering that quickly helps customers understand what they do and who they should talk to at their agency. You need to know your keywords. When a federal buyer searches small business profiles, they begin with keywords and then review the capability narrative of the resulting companies. You want to make sure you have a narrative. So many of your competitors do not. And you want it to be easy to understand first and compelling second. There are 2 fields that I consider narratives. The first is the capability narrative, which should be an elevator pitch about your company that could be given at a wedding reception, and other guests would understand what you do. Sometimes we get too technical and jargon happy. The market researchers and contracting officers are not subject matter experts like you are or the program office is. You want just enough in this field for the market researcher to put you on a short list of companies to invite in for a chat. The second narrative field is the special equipment field. This field is full text indexed, meaning it's searchable when someone enters a keyword. You want to take advantage of it. I recommend that this narrative become more technical, allowing yourself to use jargon. This is the field where you can highlight your SME or subject matter expert status and a sample project. Both fields are designed to answer the question, what do you do? The audience will just be different. One last thing, write a narrative. Don't just spew keywords into these 2 fields. The last section to know about and to complete is the experience section at the bottom of your small business profile. So far, you've told them who you are and what you do. Now you'll tell them where you've done this work before. It's totally okay to start off with commercial or even job experience. Then you want to graduate, showing subcontracting experience and prime experience within the federal government. Make sure you use easy to understand titles for your work, not whatever was on a contract. Sometimes those contract titles are unclear or bad. This tool is a marketing tool, so feel free to make the titles reflect what you actually have done for the customers. Don't add any customer points of contact, by the way, in your small business profile. You don't want to make it too easy for your competitors, right? With 20 years in the federal space, I have my own opinions about a lot, which I'm assuming you probably already know. Let me share some more in this final section about the small business profile. SAM and DSBS are basically the Google of small business contractors. You want to be found by the federal buyers, right? Then use every field and every character. For example, there's 2,500 characters available for keywords and phrases. Weave them into sentences throughout the narratives about your company so that federal buyers can find you. As you're filling out your own small business profile, analyze your competitors and learn from them. See which keywords they use and how they communicate their services. Don't plagiarize and steal their story, but use them to understand which NAICS you could have, other keywords that might fit, etc. Again, I have a free course on all of this and how to do that, and you can use it as your guide. It's at govconchamber.com. Don't pass off the task of completing your small business profile to anyone else. Do it yourself. If you can't or won't update SAM or DSBS yourself, then you won't be successful in government contracting. This is only the first step. In the future, you'll need to write things like a capability statement, then a few pages for an RFI response, then an RFI or an RFP proposal, and then lead a kickoff to a project win. All of these are just part of your responsibilities as a small business and part of the process. If you do this and enough other right things, you'll see the millions in revenue you imagined when you started this journey. No one should complete your small business profile except you. You can get guidance along the way from the Small Business Development Center or paid consultants, but you must be the one to decide what goes in your small business profile and then actually do it yourself. Last tip for you is to get feedback on your small business profile from your local SBDC or PTAC counselors, as well as your primary agency's small business professional. Ask them if you're communicating clearly what you sell and ask what recommendations they have for you. Make sure to do what they recommend or at least acknowledge their advice. Don't just stop here after watching this video. I told you that your small business profile is the most important step you'll ever take in government contracting. Go update it and check this step off the roadmap. If you found this content valuable, others will too. Please give it a thumbs up so they can find it. If you'd like to connect with me personally, do so on LinkedIn. We often do free training webinars and interview federal buyers. Make sure to sign up for the GovCon Chamber's email list to be notified about these opportunities at www.govconchamber.com. Finally, please consider becoming a sustaining member of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. Help us pave the way for $1 a day. I'm Neil McDonnell, wishing you great success.